Hey everyone, I'm Victor Frost, and this is Steven Universe, the show where we talk about the universe of Steven Universe. First things first, the news. We don't have any news. Right, First things first, fanfiction. Metal Gear Steven, written by the King, is a short, funny story about a battle of honor between Steven and Lars. Steven, who's been training with the gems, believes he's mastered the art of stealth and sneakiness. Lars, on the other hand, thinks Steven is about as inconspicuous as Mayor Dewey's re-election mobile. Thus, a bet is made and the stakes are high. Who wins? Well, you'll just have to read it to find out. This story is a quick read. A sit-down bathroom break really ought to be enough time to get through the whole thing. The writing is good, and the story itself carries a good sense of suspense throughout. The prologue, however, is decidedly the worst part. Now, that being said, it is still alright. But in my opinion, I don't think it was necessary for the story as a whole. It does set up some things in the main story, but the overall tone of it is much darker than the story itself, and it sets up possible plot events that never really follow through. It's like having a whole cabinet full of unfired Chekhov's guns. However, if you're going to take the time to read this story, you absolutely have to read the short extra stories at the end. Those things may be short, but they are packed with comedy. They're like the short comic strips at the end of full-size comic books. They're there to give the reader a little bit of extra laugh after the story. So, what's the verdict? I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 Stevens. It's good. Not great, not bad, but good. It's worth the time to read if you have a sudden craving for short Steven Universe fanfic. But if you don't have too much time, you can absolutely feel free to skip over the prologue. Now it's time for us to look at the latest episode and find out what we learned. This is your spoiler line. If you haven't yet watched Maximum Capacity, this is your chance to pause this video and go watch that one, then come back. Again, this is your spoiler line. Beyond this, no holds barred. So, this wasn't an action-driven episode like Winter Forecast was. It was a character-driven one, and the focus was decidedly Greg and Amethyst. With as far as Steven has come over the past year, it can be hard to remember that we basically entered his story in media res. His life was already in progress, and there have been a ton of events that happened, not just before what we've seen in the show, but before Steven himself even existed. This episode takes some time to really delve into Greg and Amethyst's relationship before and after Rose. Now, you shippers can just hold on right there. I mean their interpersonal relationship in general, not a romantic one. Besides, even though I generally dislike taking into account outside information when considering or interpreting a work, this time we actually already have word from God here saying that they were never romantically involved and that those feelings don't exist. Anyways, we learned that Amethyst and Rose, rather predictably, were really close and that she and Greg were friends even before he and Rose started getting serious. But, as we find out, as Rose started to spend more time with Greg, she started to spend less time with Amethyst, leading to some resentment. We also see that Greg has a problem with shapeshifting, and his issue with it started even before Cat Fingers. Now, this could have come from Amethyst taking Rose's form before or some other issue, but it's pretty clear that this is not the first time they've had a major blowout. Nor is it apparently the first time Amethyst has taken Rose's form, and when it does, Greg gets really shaken up. Understandably so. One more thing that was made really obvious was that Rose was a big lady. I mean, Greg is not a short guy, but Amethyst in Rose's form, she towers over him. Okay, granted, it's pretty exaggerated in this shot, but from this angle, where the two of them are more or less the same distance from the camera, it's pretty clear Rose has a solid foot and a half on him, and that is not even counting her voluminous hair. Also, Pearl in that sweater just needs to keep happening, just always. And Garnet wearing that jacket, wow, much awesome. Very cool dad. Just, Steven Universe crew, on the off chance that you are watching this, your fashion choices in the past couple of episodes have been awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. Also, seriously, Pearl, in that sweater, just keep doing that. That's great. Greg, on the other hand, well, first off, he needs some new clothes. Those ratty pants he keeps wearing, they need to go. So does half of his wardrobe. Secondly, he really needs to start paying more attention when he's doing parenting stuff. I mean, the 1,000 years no TV must have completely gone right past him. And yet, he agreed with it and justified it. Well, in either case, good on Steven for respecting the punishment and trying to make the best of it. Read a book, read a goddamn book. And that's what we learned this week on Steven Universe. Join us next week when we review Passion of Zanzor, a thrilling interspecies romance set on a planet of logic gates. I'm Victor Frost, and I'll see you next time.